How to use namespaces. Well, let's find out more in this video. Hey, it's T from the Breakthrough Code channel, where we try and make coding fun and simple to understand. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be showing you how to make use of namespaces in your code, okay? Well, namespaces. Namespaces are used to provide organization and a level of separation for our code, okay? They are like containers that consist of other namespaces, classes, and a bunch of other stuff, which include, interfaces, structs, classes, delegates, and all its members, basically. They play a very important role in managing large projects and make our code cleaner. Think of it as ordering your files in a file directory. It's easier to put all related things in a specific folder. Well, a namespace allows us to organize related members, okay? We can define a namespace as such, okay, where we have the namespace keyword, okay, and we can give the namespace a name, and then obviously within the body goes all the relevant member types that we require. This could be obviously classes or methods as mentioned earlier. So let's look at a real world example of how to make use of namespaces. Okay, so we have a project we're working on and we have two developers, Paul and Amanda. How can we organize the development work separately for both these developers? Okay, let's head over to Visual Studio so I can show you an example of that. So basically we want to use a namespace to essentially separate Paul's work from Amanda's work within the same project. So let's do that. So let's create a namespace. So we'll go namespace, and let's give the namespace a name. We'll call it project. This will be the overall namespace, okay? And then within that, I don't know what's wrong with the okay, and within that we'll create a namespace for Paul and a namespace for Amanda. So let's go with namespace. We'll call this one Paul, representing Paul's namespace or Paul's area to put his classes, and then we'll create another namespace for Amanda to put her classes. And cool. Okay, so now both Paul and Amanda have their own dedicated areas, okay, and both of them want to create a class called a printer class, okay. So let's see how they do that. So printer, obviously we use the word class first of all, so class, and then we give the class a name, printer. Cool. And now let's do the same thing for Amanda, class, printer. Cool. Basically, they want to add some functionality to this printer class. They want to basically print their names to the console, okay? But each of them have a different implementation of how they want to print their name to a console. So first of all, let's create the method to print the names to the console. Okay, so we'll go public static void, because it doesn't return anything. Print to console is the name of the method. Okay, and basically it's going to print something to the console. I haven't decided yet. Same thing for Amanda. She has in fact, I'm just going to copy that because it's the exact same method she has. Okay, whereas Paul's implementation basically says, hey, my name is Paul, and Amanda's implementation is pretty much the same, except it's going to print out her name instead of his, so Amanda. Cool. Okay, so now we can utilize these functions by heading over to our main method, okay, in the program class. Okay, and then we can start typing the name of the namespace by typing project, and as you can see it comes up in the list, project. Then we put a dot, because we want to access Paul's namespace, so we can pretty much click it there. And then we want to access the printer class, and then obviously we want to print to console, so print to console method. Cool. Now let's do the same for Amanda, same thing. So we can type in project, and as you can see, Visual Studio is identifying the differences between them. So you can see here that they've identified the namespace by using these curly braces here. Then when we go again, you get another curly brace identifying the other namespace for Amanda. Okay. Then what we want to get is the class printer. So they use this sign to identify a class. And then finally for a method, as you can see, they use this box to identify the method. So in this case, we're going to go with print console to console. Okay, cool. Okay, now when we run this program, we expect to see Paul, hey, my name is Paul, printed out first. And then, hey, my name is Amanda, printed out second. So let's run that and let's see what happens. Brilliant. Okay, so hey, my name is Paul, and hey, my name is Amanda. Pretty simple stuff there. Okay, so this is what we call an example of the fully qualified name. Okay, but we can also use a using directive. Okay, so if we head over to the top of the file in Visual Studio, we can see another using example here for the system namespace. Okay, now let's do the same thing again. So we're going to use the using directive keyword, and this time we're going to go project to get the project namespace, and then we're just going to go with the Paul namespace here in this example. Okay, so if we get rid of that, cool. So this is another way to find all the classes and methods in order to use that in this class, because we can use the using directive to grab the namespace information. Okay, now let's try that with Amanda's as well. Okay, so let's go get rid of that, and let's go using project dot Amanda. Cool. Ooh, but we get an error. Okay, and if I read that error says printer is an ambiguous reference between project Amanda printer and project Paul printer. Okay, so we can kind of use aliases to overcome this ambiguous issue. Okay, or ambiguous problem. Okay, so let's show you an example of alias. So for the Paul namespace, we can just give an alias of Paul. Okay, and then same thing, we can do that for Amanda. So now we can then use that down here by saying Paul dot printer, and then the same thing for Amanda dot printer. Okay, cool. So using a qualified name or using directive is entirely up to yourself as a developer. Obviously, there are debates that one format is more readable than the other. I mean, let's get rid of this so that I can show you one format versus the other. If we get rid of that, put that there. So it's up to you as a developer to decide which one you feel is more readable. Is it that, or using the using directive, which is just plainly this version here? Okay, so is it that or that? Okay, to be honest, every company I've worked for, they use the fully qualified name only when necessary. Okay, so I tend to find this more often than this in the companies I've worked with. Okay, now the way we've set up obviously our namespaces here isn't exactly a normal everyday scenario. We have all the namespaces in one assembly. Okay, Obviously you can view the assembly by right clicking on the solution, open project files. Okay, then you can go into the project, go into the bin folder, the debug.NET Core, and then you can see the assembly there. Okay, we only have this assembly which obviously contains all the namespaces that we created, but obviously in a normal scenario you're probably going to have multiple assemblies in your solution with namespaces in each assembly. So let's give an example. Let's show you an example of that now. So let's create another project. Okay, so we right click on this and then create click on add new project. We want a class library, and for this one we're going to give it a name of project.pull. Okay, and create that. Okay, cool. Then let's add another project as well. Let's do one for Amanda. Same thing, new project, class library, project.amanda. Cool. Okay, so we have these two projects now. Okay, so then we can rename the class file. So let's start off with pulls. Let's rename it to printer. Was it printer that we had? Yeah, printer. Let's rename that to printer. Rename to printer. Okay, and let's drag all this code that we had in printer over to Paul's class. Cool. Okay, then let's do the same for Amanda's class. Let's rename that to printer as well. Cool. And let's do the same. Drag the code from Amanda's stuff into that class. Cool. Right, now let's save that and save that. We can pretty much close that. Okay, so we don't need these namespaces anymore, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so now in order to grab these in order to be able to use those namespaces that we've these new namespaces that we created here, we need to add a reference of these new projects or assemblies in our main console app assembly. Okay, and to do that we could just right click on the dependencies of the console app and click add project reference. Okay, and there we go, there's the two other assemblies that we've got of project references. So let's click that and then click OK. So now we can pretty much do what we did before in the it's pretty much done it for us. So you can see there that we've got the using picking up the namespace of project.pull, and that's coming from this assembly here, and the same thing with project Amanda, and that's coming from this project here. So that's pretty much how we can do that. Cool. Okay, so I really hope you learned more about namespaces like I promised. If you did, please make sure to like the video, and if you want to learn more like this and other things, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you look out for the next video on the playlist. Have a good day.